Welcome to our corner where we talk about the Streets of Avalon role-playing game. I'm Chris.
And I'm Brett.
And today we're talking about NPCs and Adversaries, the basics of them and how they work in the Streets of Avalon role-playing game. So, Brett, I have stuff that I put in this book that people can utilize as tools and such. I suppose I should get into how stat blocks work first.
Oh, well, I was going to say it was a pretty short topic if we don't do that. It's there. Good.
Yeah, I know, right?
I love me a good stat block, right? But I also love me a stat block that is actually effective for what the hell I'm going to be doing from a game master perspective. I loved, and I still do, I still like my Pathfinder first edition, believe it or not. I love my good crunchiness. But as I was telling Chris off the mics after the last time we talked, I'm like, I have simplified my monster stat blocks down. And when he was kind of previewing what we're talking about, I'm like, oh, thank God. Because we need, as game masters, we have all the other stuff we've already talked about.
Yes.
The clocks, the bells, the whistles, the plot, the stuff. Oh, my God, the PCs. Oh, she wanted to meet her mom, and he wants to meet his dad, and fuck, all this stuff. Oh, my God, how do we tighten this up so that when you're actually running your NPCs and your adversaries, especially not necessarily just a throwaway NPC, but I want something fast that we can grab onto and go, because otherwise it just drags that combat out, drags the storytelling out, and it's a bad beat, man. You got a good rhythm going, everything's happening, and then suddenly somebody pulls the drums. Like, what happened?
It just slows everything down if you can't glance at it, understand what's going on, and move on. Or even just create one off the fly, right? Just be able to put something together real quick.
Exactly. So when we're talking stat blocks here, let me ask you this, just the highest level. My character stat blocks and my NPC adversary stat blocks, same or different? They're similar, or? There's
two different functions. They can go together, but really it's about what you're using them for.
Okay.
So NPCs to me are all adversaries are NPCs. Anything that's a non-player character, GM character, whatever you want to call it.
Sounds adversarial, Chris.
Correct. Yeah, I am being very adversarial. I'm being adversarial, Brett, and it's only because you're 100 or you're thousands of miles away from me and you can't hurt me. So there, take that.
All right, you got me there.
I mean, you could hang up, but that'd be passive aggressive.
No, that's not me. I'm not very passive aggressive. It's just straight aggressive usually. Anyway.
Yeah. So in the game, like Brett said, I wanted two very, very simple, easy to get at things. And one of them is the stat block part, which is when we're talking about the stats of what the person can do. And the other is the NPC part, which is how you can play this character pretty quickly and put them together pretty quickly. Like when you look at it, you're like, oh, I know what to do with that. And instead of having to make it up on the fly or whatever, even if you do, you can give yourself some tools to do that. So you can present a character, because this game has lots of characters in it. In my playtests, we end up generating, 5 to 10 NPCs a session. Just
easily.
The fly. Yeah.
Oh, easily, because the cool part about, not the only cool part, but one of the many cool parts, and obviously I love the thing I built, is it's that noir, everybody's got a story. There's stuff to it. It's not, random guard number one, or you don't get the same, used to be an adventure until it took an arrow to the knee. It doesn't have to be the repetitive, soundbite. It could be fun without a good mechanism to do it that is built into the thing, i.e. our system that you crafted here. I think by building it into it, it gives you don't have to reach out and go find another YouTube video. Like, how do I do NPCs better? How do I do this better? We're giving you a tool right out of the gate. So when you want to build these NPC/adversaries, you can get what's their motivation? What kind of personality do they have?
Well, we're going to talk about all that and how you can easily get there. So let me start with what everybody generally wants is how does a stat block work? Not very complicated. Maybe of your name and the level that goes along with that, so you can glance and see what level this character is compared to the levels of the player characters, and they actually correspond. So if it's a level 1 adversary, it should correspond pretty close to being a level 1 player character, at least when you're crafting these encounters.
So that means a 1-to-1, because I know if you take the old D&D ideas, 1 to 4, more or less, right? Like challenge rating.
Yeah.
It just seemed to have a different, but I like what.
I don't want challenge rating.
Exactly. No. And I like what you're saying here is because, look, then if I have 3 PCs and 1 NPC and everybody's level 1, the 1 NPC is potentially outmatched.
Very much so outmatched.
I'm just saying, depending on what are they on their own home turf? Do they have traps and so on and so forth? There's things we could do to cheat, right?
That's completely different, right? We'll talk about that in a future episode about constructing encounters and things like that, situations.
But the cool thing though is that when you encounter, and we did this a little bit in the play testing I was doing with you, is when the group of us that were on what 3-4 players, and we encountered 2 or 3 adversaries, we're like, okay, this could get sketchy. We're almost 1-to-1.
Mm-hmm.
I felt a lot more comfortable when it was like 3 of us and 1 of them. Like, I felt a lot better.
As you should.
And if you're talking street level heroics and that Daredevil, Hell's Kitchen type of approach, if you're outnumbered, I want you to feel that, right? Because that's important. I don't want to do math. I just want to look at the table and go, oh shit, there's 6 of them and 3 of us. Dude, that's 2-to-1. This could be bad.
Yeah.
It
should be bad, right? Like,
yeah.
To go along with that, like easy glance is what level are they? You can look at, they have 4 stats. They have dodge, attack, mental, and physical. And those are just stats. And then you add them to a difficulty die to figure out what the target number is when the player characters are trying to deal with them. When it is a bad guy's turn in initiative, because this game uses initiative, and say they're going to try to stab you with their dagger, you just look at the difficulty die that's been rolled for that round, which we talked about in a previous episode, add it to the attack roll, and be like, cool, that's your target number. How do you dodge out of the way? And that's
nice.
Player facing.
Okay.
Same thing for their dodge. It's like when they attack, when they're attacked by a player character, you can just see what the target number is. And it shifts a little bit from round to round based on the difficulty die, which is what that's for. Same thing with mental and physical. Mental and physical is for all that other stuff that exists in the world that may not be dodge and attack. And really dodge you can use for speed, quickness, things like that. If you want to in a pinch. I've been writing a lot about how that works. Physical, you could use physical though too. So with those,
we also have our tags. I don't want people to forget the tags. That's the cool thing. I mean, if we're talking a brawl, tags get infected or influenced. You could start your adversary with tag, lightning fast.
You could.
Yeah, there's stuff you can do that, and because the tags are that wonderful crescent wrench, right? It can be adjusted to grab onto whatever you need it to.
So that slides into abilities. So you can just put tags under the abilities, and if they don't have any extra rules associated with them, you just stick it down there. Also, if you're just shorthanding this for yourself, you just write a tag in the abilities section for these characters. Abilities are just like essentially the passive things that they get. So like say they're a brawler, maybe they get a +2 to their physical score when they're trying to punch you, right? You just put that in there.
Okay.
That way you can know, but you can get more complex with it if you want to. I don't have an example offhand.
Well, that makes sense. You could have a brawler. You could have a teamwork guy, person. You could have somebody who is, sword and board. You could have somebody who is, trick shot. There's stuff we could do, and
there's a lot of stuff for the Griffins for that, like when they're together, because they work as a unit, and while they're just guys off the street. We talked about the Griffins last time. When
they're
together,
trained and they work together.
They get +1s to things like dodge and attack when they're fighting together in close range, right? Like because they're good at that. They got one where the lieutenant's like, I'm gonna knock this guy down. If I knock him down, any Griffin that's around here gets like +2 to their dodge and attack scores.
I think that one's called "It's All Over But the Kicking" or something like that.
Yeah, it's called "Stomp them while they're down." It is actually called that. Like ground and pound is what I think I called it, dealing with the MMA thing, I should say.
I like the So one of the things that when we talk about the tags and stuff, we did talk previously, or hinted at least the examples, right? We could give examples and so forth, but the idea here is these are tools. One of the things you said that I think is really cool is I give you examples, but it can't be an exhaustive list, and that is where I like the freedom of play with that, where I can have my abilities, I can have my tags, I can look at like a boilerplate, if you will, of example tags or things that were like, hey, Chris and Brett said these are some pretty damn good tags. They fit Avalon. This is pretty cool. But you're not hidebound to that thing, right?
Yeah.
It's your game, and it's your version of Avalon. And as you craft and build, if you write down your own personal shorthand and you don't use the word brawler, you use fist fighter, you use kicky punchy guy, I don't care. Nothing wrong. What matters is that it means something to you and that you can reference it. That's the key to this stuff is fast reference. You can go and move and make things happen. And
when I release the Ashcan version of this game, I'm going to try to have about 100 adversaries in the Ashcan version. And you can look at their abilities and see what I mean. A lot of the abilities are essentially just tags. And then I put a rule associated with them so that you have a good reference point out there, people, for what a tag can do.
Yeah, if you want something that breathes fire, you can say breathes fire, X damage. blah save, blah this, blah that.
Well, not only
There's
that, but think about other like opportunities that have nothing to do with fighting, like resistance to the plague, like a
mhm.
vermin, a person, a cadre, a vermin catcher, right? Somebody that's part of the cadre of vermin catchers. They're resistant to the plague. They get a +2 to their physical score from things that would cause harm and have negative tags from disease, poison, and vermin.
Ooh,
They're
I
also,
like that.
yeah, they're also like feral trackers, right? Like they may declare any vermin type creature in the scene is focused, so they can one. It's easier for them to hurt them. They get +1 to attack and dodge stuff, and then they can do extra harm to them. And they can also track them. All these abilities are just tags. That's how the tag system works. Same thing for like if you wanted to make an Order of the Iron Mage and you wanted to give them expert researcher.
Yeah.
That just means they are good at researching stuff.
And then when you have that person as a non-adversarial NPC or soon to be adversarial, because you guys shortchange him, you bastard PCs that you are, you're like, oh, I hooked up with Maurice, and Maurice is wicked good at research. You know, I found the one person who's really, really good, who's willing to take our copper or silver and do this work for us. They're also, you know, really good researcher and so forth.
Yep.
I like that. It has, again, this helps me tie stuff to it. I don't want to have a list of 500 spells to pick for. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to have a massive list of 1,000 feats that I have to then cross-reference and so forth. I want to be able to get this on a 3x5 card.
You can, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, some of the more like bigger ones that are more complicated, like you get your red caps and things like that, or a brain gorger. They might be a little bit bigger than that. But a lot of these other ones are pretty simple. It just depends on how much you want to give them in the way of abilities and actions and, you know, quick actions, interrupt, stuff like that. Because if they're going to fight, they should have that stuff to be able to fight, especially against player characters that have all those other things too.
Makes sense.
There's also just a straight harm stat in the upper part of the stat block. Like they don't have attacks. You don't really give them, you can give them other like extra attacks, but if they're just going to hit somebody, like it's just there. For instance, like an Eckard family winged warrior, they have a rapier that does 1d8 plus 5 harm. Like it's just there. So anytime they're going to just try to stab you, that's what you use. And then they have survivability instead of hit protection. We'll get into it next season when we talk more about more advanced stuff with the adversaries, but that's pretty much the basics.
One of the things I like what you did there was the harm. I know we bandied it about, and I wasn't sure where we landed, was the idea of like, should harm be a set number, like 5, 6, 8? And obviously, if you can play this game, you can do basic math, and you could figure that out.
I hope so.
So if you want to, you could do that, right?
Yeah, I guess.
I like the variability, though, because one of the things that does is it keeps you guessing. There's a chance.
Yeah.
You know, in that fight, in that brawl, if my dice are cold, and if you game with me as your game master, my dice are always cold. This is just facts. Ask anybody who's played with me long. It sucks. If I'm rolling 1s and 2s, it's a different fight than if Chris is rolling 6s and 8s. You know, it's a way different brawl. So I like the variability feature of that. I like that. I like that approach.
Yeah, and then they just have actions like anybody else. If you have special things that they want to be able to do, they have also have quick actions and interrupts, because that's everybody gets a quick action interrupt on their turn too. So they some of them have them, not everybody, but some of them. Like for instance, the Magistrate Family Guard. I just a generic Magistrate Family Guard. They have an interrupt called Sacrifice. When the guard can sacrifice their shield because if they have a shield, by having it become damaged to increase their armor by 10 for the incoming attack, which armor is damage reduction.
Cool.
Because that's just a thing. Like shields are in the game. It makes sense that they have a shield. Player characters can have shields too. They kind of do the same thing. So I just, put it there. But that's how it makes sense to me that a Magistrate Family Guard would have an ability like that to protect their...
Yeah, a little bodyguard type of thing. Like, hey, I got to throw myself in front.
Mm-hmm. So stuff like that.
I can hear the Mariah Carey in the background. Or no, sorry, the Whitney Houston. Whitney Houston. So the Bodyguard movie. Sorry if I spoiled that for anybody.
Hey man, you can't. I don't know if it's. I think we could take the spoiler warnings off a 30-year-old movie.
I think we can.
We can all feel old now for anybody who remembers seeing that in a theater or even when it came out on HBO.
Well, we talked about so far, Chris. We've got the tactical stuff, or kind of like, hey, some cool. Now we also talked about like these are people. Yep. And it's important in Avalon that everybody has at least a sliver of a story. You don't have to have full-blown 16-page backstory for every NPC. That's madness. But how do we make these folks come to life? What do we got in the can for that?
It's real simple to me to get there fast, right? I'm like, how can I do this fast? So I want to give them a motivation, because that's what creates stories, especially in a city. Like, what do they want? That's really the question you answer is like, what does this person actually want? And it could be as simple as they want to make money. They want to find their husband that's gone missing. They want to just be able to pay their rent. You just give them something, something that they want. So you know what they kind of want. So when the player characters ask them for things, they could ask for something back. Because exchange like that is often the way things go on the Streets of Avalon.
Yeah, I want to be left alone. I want to be recognized as the world's greatest thief. I want to, steal my lover back. I want to do this. I want that. So,
Yep.
okay, so that's a want. What do they want? What do they need? What's motivating them to keep to live? Right? What's motivating them? Got it.
Yep.
Okay.
And then you can give them a couple of personality traits so that you have something to play off of. So, for instance, they are like greasy palmed and also curious. They are dour yet ambitious. If you just write those two things down, then it gives you just something to play off of. These are tricks for any role playing game, really. But,
yeah, absolutely. But
yeah,
the idea is like on the sheet, right? On that NPC that you're writing up the notes, it's like, hey, put on 2 traits. And they could be complementary, they could be contradictory because people are complex and weird. Greedy and a bully. Huh. Weird. Okay, but hey, the inside's what's on the tin, guys. That's what this person is. So okay, I like that.
And I did put like 50 of these personality traits in the book that you could just pick from.
Perfect. So if you really, really want to random the hell out of it, just close your eyes, point, grab one.
Pretty much. And then I think for this game, and that's why I put it in there, is giving them a look, because this game does have like a subtext of classism. So what they're wearing matters to kind of like their station in a lot of ways, which, I mean, you don't have to play it that way. I think that is part of the theme of what's going on here.
And it absolutely is. It's where,
exactly,
the clothing, the appearance, the walk. I've had player characters, ask me the question in other games, not the system, of course, where they're like, how are they moving? How are they talking? How do they behave? And I'm like, what do you mean? Well, they're dressed this way, as you described, dock worker, so forth. Something about them seems off. You're like, oh, look, the hair is perfect. There's perfume. There's it's a little extra spring in their step. My God, those shoes, those are expensive. The rest of it looks tattered and poor, but they'll be damned if they don't wear their, 1 gold piece pair of shoes. Holy crap. So sometimes that look can be fun like that. But you're right, the class, the guilds and all that stuff is like who's who and how you change your stars, how you get out of the situation you're in or improve the situation of yourself and others. That's a big damn deal.
Yeah. And while it was hard for me to figure out how to like randomize that, I did manage to put together 12 sets of at least starting clothing for people to like use as a description for lower class merchant and guild clothing sets and noble clothing sets in the book. So at least people have something to go off of if they're having a hard time.
Nice. No, I like that. The other cool thing is when you start with a thing, again, you're not bound to it. So if you like, oh, we started off with everyone who is from nobles in this area tend to wear blue because that's in vogue right now.
Sure.
Then the new noble comes into town and they're wearing a crimson. Well, are they avant-garde? Are they changing? Did they float black? It can be something as mundane as that cause people to look sideways at you because you're wearing last year's whatever. Right. I want to impersonate a noble. And I pull together some garb. I show up. Everyone's wearing purple, and I've got blue. Son of a bitch. Could be a problem, right? If you can't pull it off because you don't match the look.
Absolutely be a problem. Okay. I also like the idea is like if you're a bunch of adventurers that walk into a place and like you guys are kind of underdressed, and then it's like, yeah, man, everybody's wearing like burgundy leather coats with gold accents. They got their boots are polished. They're wearing silk riding gloves. This guy has a crested whip at his hip because he just came in riding a horse.
And you literally look like a rat catcher. Literally a rat catcher. You look like and smell like a guy who catches rats.
Yeah, man, you're wearing if you're a lachey, right? You're wearing like charcoal gray cotton smock. You got some blackened gloves because you've been digging holes.
Might be barefoot because why not?
Yep, absolutely. At least you got some waterproof trousers, probably, if you're lucky, I suppose. That's the stuff that you can start with. That's some of the things that are there.
And the key is it's short, it's quick. It's not a huge list of stuff you've got to have.
Yeah, you write like 2 or 3 things down that just give the players an idea. They'll fill the rest of it in.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
The other thing that's cool is as you start to build that stuff. Every time I've done this, and you source the table a little bit and ask people like, what's the name of the person? What do you think about them? You can get a look and a motivation real quick, and or a personality trait real fast. How do they treat you? Oh, they hate me because I stole some sticky buns from them once. Oh, they love me because I did this thing for them. Well, now we got a personality trait.
Yeah, and how do they show that love is like they're very like doting like a mom, right?
Yeah.
Or yeah, well, there you go. They're very doting like a mom. That's easy enough to play, right? Like everybody
Yeah.
knows kind of what that looks like potentially. Unless
Or
you
they
have some
they cut me a
trauma.
deal as long as I keep being a good boy. What does a
Uh-huh.
good boy mean? I got to keep doing favors or whatever the case is.
Yeah,
I
and
like it.
that's the last thing though, is like you need to know who they are, like how they function in the city. Because that's important. Like, are they a baker? Are they a thief? Are they like what's their job? Because that actually does influence part of who they are and their personality too. And how
Well,
they look at the world.
Exactly. One of the questions I get asked a lot by groups that want to play in a campaign in Avalon is they bump into new NPC. They'll start talking, and someone will look at me and say, "Are they from the neighborhood?" Because it's not that big a place. Do I
Yeah.
know them? Do I know them? Are they? And that could be, is the look, does the look fit the neighborhood? This neighborhood is thick with carpenters, blacksmiths, and sailors. This person doesn't look like any of those three, doesn't fit any of the other guilds. Huh.
That's somebody with some like decently weaved together clothing, not great material, but they're obviously some sort of tailor, and that's not our tailor.
Yeah, it's not our stuff. That's not Hank's stuff. That's not his work.
Yeah.
You know, it's small stuff like that, and these things help you answer that question: are they from here? Are they not? And without having to say, "Give me a roll to see if you know who they are." The look, the appearance, the trait, you're like, "Oh yeah, this is so and so," or "No, it's not," or "Well, they look like they would belong to the guild. They're dressed the right way." First glance. You want to press it, then we start talking about other ways to figure it out.
So in summary, the four little things that you need to bring a person to life, in my opinion, is like know who they are, how they function in the city, give them a bit of a look, give them a want or a motivation, and then a couple of personality traits, and you're good to go.
Yeah, and they don't have to be complicated.
I agree.
You've got somebody who's guarding something. Motivation, guard, make money, keep you out. Could be that basic simple.
That's all you need.
Yeah.
All
Love
right,
it, man. That's
I
good
think-
stuff, bro.
Yeah, that's the whole topic. So
Thank you for listening to Under the Lamplight, the Streets of Avalon role-playing game podcast. If you enjoyed the show, please like and subscribe on YouTube. You can pick up the playtest version of the game, which I've done my best to give a slightly nicer layout with some art at polygamero.us. The link is below. And we'll see you under the lamplight next week.